shapes. So the first definitions all have to do with lines and angles. That's the name of the first topic. So a couple things with the angles first. An acute angle. Acute angle. This is when we have an angle that's less than 90 degrees. Less than 90. Think of like the word cute, teeny, a lot of times, like teeny little baby, something like that. Some people remember it that way. If we have an angle that's exactly 90 degrees, that's called a right angle. Right angle is exactly 90 degrees. And then when we go to more than 90, this is called an obtuse angle. So this would be between 90 and 180. That would be considered obtuse. And then once we are at exactly 180, this is just a straight line. Or straight angle. Exactly 180. Straight line or straight angle. Exactly 180 degrees. Another thing that goes with angles, those four went together. Now these two are going to kind of go together. Complementary. Complementary. This complementary angles are two angles that add up to 90 degrees. Two angles that add up to 90 degrees. So for example, if you had an angle that was 40 degrees, the complementary angle would be 50 degrees, because those two would add up to 90. Or how about 18 degrees? Okay, so, and if you have to, don't be afraid to actually calculate it out. 90 minus 18 is how we would figure it out. That one's not quite as easy as looking at the 40 and the 50. So 72 would be the complementary angle to 18. So similarly, supplementary. So supplementary angles. These are two angles that add up to 180. Two angles that add up to 180. 180 degrees. So let's say 40 degrees for this one. 40 degrees, supplementary to 40 degrees would be 140 degrees, because that's what I would need to add up to 180. Okay, or how about 105 degrees? Okay, so if we take 180 minus 105 degrees, we get 75 degrees. 105 and 75 add up to 180. Those are supplementary. Okay, so next, when we have two parallel lines. Okay, so these are going to be two lines. These are parallel. Those two lines. And then we have another line that cuts through them. This is called the transversal. This is the line that cuts through the two parallel lines. So what happens when I do that, now I've got actually 8 different angles formed. So I'm going to label these, the ones on top, top left A, and then going around clockwise, B, C, and D. And then down at the bottom, same motion, E, F, G, and H. Okay, they're going to have these different relationships that we label. And there's going to be certain things true about their angles. So let's look at A and C first. A and C, these are called vertical angles. Vertical angles. So what would be true about these, A and C, is that they are equal. They would always be equal. So some other vertical angles, I'll do this in a different color. The other pairs of vertical would be B and D, E and G, and F and H. Those all would be vertical angles. So vertical, kind of like kitty corner from each other. Well, we already talked about supplementary, so I'm not going to write that one down, but maybe I'll write this in. Maybe I will, to be consistent. A and B are supplementary. And remember what we said, what's true about supplementary is that they add up to 180. Okay, so A and B are supplementary. Also B and C, also D and C, those all make straight lines. So do dot 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 because there's a lot of combinations of those. So B and C, C and D, G and A, keeps going around, same on the bottom. So as long as a straight line is formed, they would add up to 180. How about next? How about A and E? A and E. So it's like, how I like to describe those makes sense to me. They're in the same spot on top and bottom. So A and E are in corresponding spots. So they're called corresponding angles. Okay, so what's true about these is they would be equal. Okay, even though they could be far apart from each other, the transversal is going at the same rate, so A and E would create equal angles, corresponding angles. So the other sets of corresponding here would be B and F, C and G, and then D and H. They're all in the same spots. Let's see, D and F. D and F. These are called alternate interior. So think of it interior, they're on the inside, and they're alternate. So these would also be equal. The other set of alternate interior are C and E. Okay. We could also say alternate exterior. I'll throw that in there. I don't know if the software goes over this, but A and G would be alternate exterior. And you could tell, looking at this, these would be equal as well. Alternate exterior A and G, and then B and H would also be alternate exterior on the outside. So let's throw in one example with these. So let's say A was, let's say it looks like about 120 degrees. So if A is 120 degrees, the other angles that would be 120 degrees, well, C, because it's a vertical angle, E would also be 120 because it's corresponding, and then G would also be 120 because, well, it's vertical to E. Okay, how about B? What would B be? It would be 60 because A and B are supplementary. They have to add up to 180. So if B is 60, then D is 60. F is 60, and H would be 60. Okay, so in a situation like this, you're only going to get 2 different degrees.